Okay, so moving along with our development process, in this video we'll cover step 2 of adding the controller code to show the HTML form. Let's go ahead and move into our code here and let's create a new controller. I'll create this new Java class. And I'll give the name customer controller. And I'll go ahead and annotate this controller class with the controller annotation. I'll give the get mapping for slash to map on the root URL so we can show the page automatically or show the form automatically. I'll define this method here, public string show form. Pass in the model. I'll go ahead and fix the imports real quick. And for model, be sure to choose the model from the Spring framework. And remember, the model allows us to share information between the controllers and view pages. So we can add data to the model in the controller code, and then the view pages will be able to access that data from the model. So here we'll go ahead and add data to the model. We'll say the model.add attribute. And then we give the attribute name and the actual attribute value. So the first item here is the name, and then the second item is the value. So the name is something important because we'll actually use that name in our view pages, like our HTML forms and so forth. And also the value here, we simply start off with an empty customer instance. And this is required because we're using HTML form data binding. And then finally, we return the actual name of the view. So return customer form, and this will map over to customerform.html. And that's the basic coding there for showing our HTML form. I'll create a new form here. So I'll move under Resources, Templates, and I'll create this new HTML file. And the name of this file is customerform.html. Since I'm going to make use of some time leaf expressions here, I set up the namespace for time leaf. I'll go ahead and update the title. And now I'll start adding some information here regarding the form. So just some quick instructions to the user. Fill out the form. Anything with an asterisk is required. Again, just basic instructions for the user. And now let's go ahead and start defining the form. So I make use of the th action. And I give a reference to process form. That's where we'll actually send the data. I make use of th object. That's the name of the form model attribute. And here we'll post the data across. So again, just a quick recap. Where we're going to submit the data, the actual model attribute name of customer, and then finally, we're posting the data across. And the model attribute name has to match with the actual model attribute name that was set up by the controller when they showed this form. That's very important. And now let's go ahead and start setting up our fields here for first name and the input type of text. And then we map it to th::field and we give first name. So that's the actual property name from the customer class. And note the syntax here with a star curly brace. And then I'll add some BRs, some line breaks. And then I'll just do a little copy paste here. First name, I'll come down here and paste it. And then this will be for last name. And I just simply update the reference here, last name. And again, that's the property name from our customer class. And now I need to move down a bit here, and I need to display the error message if present, or add the error message if present. I'll add this code here. I make use of this th::if, and I basically say, hey, does the last name field have an error? So the syntax is a bit scary, but it's a $ curly brace. We give the pound fields dot has errors last name. And then we get the th::errors last name. That'll actually display the error message. And then I specify the class. And so class equals error. So that's going to be a CSS style or class that we'll actually define a bit later in this file. So for now, it's just a little placeholder. But that's kind of the basics here for laying out the error message, or basically checking to see if there's an error message for this given field and then displaying that error message. Now, the one missing piece here is the actual CSS style that I mentioned that we would actually add. And so let's go ahead and do this real quick. And I'll just kind of do a very simple version. There's some more advanced ways of doing CSS styles, like in separate files. But right now, just to keep things simple, I'll place the CSS style in this file. And I'll just define it as style. I give the name of .error. And then this particular style will have the font color of red. And so just to kind of match things up here, let me kind of tighten up or get rid of some white space just so we can kind of see everything on one screen. Give me 1 second. So up top here, we have this style error, and that matches with the actual class error that we have down at the bottom. So the error message will actually show up in red. So that's the connection here between those two items. And you can give any name that you want, just be consistent here as far as what names you give for that given CSS style. And then the actual error message that's displayed will be information from those annotations from our customer class. All right, so that looks pretty good. Let's go ahead and set up our final item, our submit button. So input type equals submit, and value equals submit. That's the actual label that you'll see on that given button. All right, so kind of stepping back for a bit. So this is all of the coding in place here for that HTML form. We have those two fields for first name and last name. We know that last name could possibly have some validation errors, and so we added the code accordingly to display those error messages, also making use of those CSS styles. All right, this looks pretty good. I like it.